If you're a fellow ADHD woman entrepreneur who masked growing up through overfunctioning and high achievement, this is for you. I don't know about you, but that worked for me for a while until I all of a sudden found myself really, really anxious and really, really depressed. Some of that was because I didn't know I had ADHD and wasn't treating it. However, at the same time, there are five big reasons why that overfunctioning and high achieving stopped working. And we're going to talk about that. One is that overworking, and a lot of times what goes with it is the perfectionism, leads to burnout. This happens because that overworking is putting you in your fight or flight response over and over. And when you're in your fight or flight response, it was meant to be a quick, like, oh, threat, get away. And so your body floods you with chemicals like adrenaline, noradrenaline, also known as norepinephrine, and cortisol as a way to help you fight or flee. But two things happen. One, when the danger doesn't actually require you to fight or flee because the threat is someone's nasty comment on social media or criticism from someone, then you're not using up those chemicals. You're not using up those hormones. And so then they get stuck in the body, which over time, yes, you can have an anxiety disorder, but also that can lead to negative health outcomes, autoimmune conditions, even because your nervous system is not having the opportunity to rest and be in its state where it's safe enough to rest, digest, and connect, what's known as ventral vagal. And when you can't do that, your organs don't get to function properly or fully. Your immune system's compromised. Your digestion is compromised. Your reproductive system is compromised. Anything that doesn't involve fighting or fleeing danger, like life-threatening danger, is not functioning optimally. And that is why you can have negative health outcomes from this constant pushing and pushing and pushing. Number two, people pleasing, because I don't know about you, but a part of this over functioning and high achieving was people pleasing. Because with ADHD, when you people please, it's like, one, you're avoiding people being mad at you, because a lot of times people with ADHD believe we can't handle it because we tend to be highly sensitive. Two, people are more likely to like us when maybe because of our ADHD, we can be annoying to some people, especially if you have hyperactive type or combined type of ADHD. But also, people pleasing kind of got you some grace. Like if you did all this stuff for people, then the hope subconsciously, I mean, none of this was like planned, but the hope subconsciously is like, okay, well, they'll give me grace when I mess shit up because of my ADHD. And it works for a while. But the problem is this can also lead to burnout with the problems that we already talked about. And you end up in this like you can end up in ADHD task paralysis because you just feel overwhelmed all the time because you've said yes to everything and then are putting yourself and your ADHD care, your morning self-love routine last. Further, this can lead to imbalanced relationships, relationships where you feel like you're giving everything and not getting much back, or you understand them really well and they don't get you, or you can figure out what their needs are and they just are totally clueless, and it's because that's not a real relationship. It's a situation where you're giving and not getting anything back. And not that we always need to get something back, but in relationships over time there does need to be a balance, and that imbalance can lead to resentment, anger, and usually ending the relationship because you find out eventually that it really wasn't a relationship, and then you feel lonely. Number three, when you overfunction and push and push and push and crash, you also end up feeling disconnected from yourself because through the perfectionism and the people pleasing, you're just trying to figure out what everyone else needs, and you start to lose sight of who you are and what you need and what you want. And that oftentimes can result in depression and just stagnation. And that's particularly problematic for entrepreneurs because we need to shine our light out, our unique light, to attract the clients we want to work with. But we can't do that if we no longer know who we are. The fourth problem or way that this stops working is that I don't know about you. I have a crap ton of energy. Like I have always my whole life had a crap ton of energy. And I still exercise and I eat nutrient dense foods and I sleep at least 8 hours a night. I do a lot of things to take care of my body. And as much as I hate to admit this, at 50, I have less energy than I did when I was 22. I have less energy than I did when I was 31. And some of that could be perimenopause because you can have some fatigue with that. That's not uncommon. But also, as we age, our bodies do slow down, no matter how much we take care of ourselves. So eventually, we stop having the energy to push and push and push and do all these things for everyone else and people please and be perfectionistic. So it's this overfunctioning stops working because we just don't even have the energy for it. And five, I don't know if you've noticed, but as an entrepreneur, there's not a lot of signs of external achievement, right? Like when you were maybe in school and if you overfunctioned, you could get A's and maybe even awards or National Honor Society or graduate with honors, whatever, right? But that doesn't happen with entrepreneurship. And in fact, a lot of times the only positive indicator you get is if someone gives you a testimonial or says, "Hey, thank you so much for helping with me," which can happen, especially if you're asking for those testimonials so you can share them with others, like how you can help. But it takes a little while to get there. And at the same time, you're faced with people criticizing you and leaving nasty comments on social media, even when you're doing a good job. So this overworking, this overfunctioning doesn't necessarily result in those that external achievement that you started doing this for to feel better with your ADHD. So these things, this pushing, this overfunctioning isn't working. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Jen, yes, I still do this." It's time to find a way to step out of it. I have lots of ways you can work with me, so I'm going to put my website in the notes for this episode or video, and you can check that out. I do one-to-one coaching where we can work on this as well as have a program. And I would love to help you step out of this pattern before you end up with negative health outcomes and just like a crap ton of really shitty relationships. Or maybe you already do, and we can work through like how do you get to a different place with it. So check out the description, I think it's called. I still new at this YouTube thing, which is going to be funny to watch this like 20 years from now. Anyway, I would love to connect with you if you're interested in doing some work around your ADHD in your business. Take care.